Hey guys, welcome back to New Stuff TV, the untechnical tech channel. I'm your host, Antoine. Let's get ready to rumble Richardson because today we are checking out some subwoofers. What you see right here is the Sony SA-SW3, and this big hunk of thunder right here is the Sony SA-SW5. Sorry man, I had to finish my tea. All right, let's get to it, man. Look, the Sony home theater systems, well, they're sound bars. I got a new soundbar from Sony. We'll talk about that in another video. And I was wondering which subwoofer should I match up with it, because nowadays you can actually get a soundbar by itself and not a whole complete system. Like back in the day, they used to sell them as like a soundbar and a subwoofer, or a soundbar, a subwoofer, and two rear speakers, or sometimes they would be sold separately. The way Sony does it now, along with some others, is you can get yourself a soundbar with your 7.1 point whatever, and then you can have a subwoofer, okay? You can get that separately, and then you can also get your Dolby Atmos or your rear speakers separately. So I was wondering, which one should I get, man? Sony has two fantastic offerings here with the SW3 and the SW5. So I was looking at the differences. And as I figured it out for myself, I figured why not bring them here so you can see the differences in like kind of real time, and also hear what I feel about them as far as their differences and which one might be right for you. Because I know somebody else out there was troubled with making this decision because there is a vast price difference between the two. Now, depending on the time you go to Sony's website or Amazon, Best Buy, wherever you're gonna go to get it, you're gonna get different prices for each one, but they are still like far apart in price. And you want to know, is the SW5 worth it over the SW3? Well, I don't want to give you a spoiler, but screw it. Let's just get into it, man. So the SW3 is maxing out at 200 watts, pumping out of this 160 millimeter driver that lives right there. And then just underneath that, you're gonna see a port, which is gonna move a lot of air as you're hearing thunder and watching explosions in your content. Now the SW5 maxes out at 300 watts, pumping out of a 180 millimeter that lives right here facing forward. But just underneath that, you're gonna have a passive subwoofer or a passive driver. Man, that is a lot of bass. Like instead of moving air through a port, they just decided to throw in a passive radiator. Who does that? I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody else is doing it. I don't know. But what I do know is this thing moves some air. Now, as you can see here on the SW5, it has these 4 open areas at the bottom. I don't want to call these ports because they're not ports to the actual driver. These are just open areas to give you more omnidirectional sound because you have this downfire and passive radiator that lives down here. It doesn't downfire directly to your floor or your carpet. It downfires into its own base. And then these open areas just push out that omnidirectional bass to just give you the bass. Now, aside from physical size and weight, those are the main differences you're gonna find between the SW3 and SW5. But since I brought up size and weight, let me talk about that for a second, because one is definitely bigger than the other, and size, sometimes it matters. And in this case, it does. But let's just talk about that size. So the SW3 is about the same size as you would get with your typical home theater setup with a soundbar or something like that. You know, it's just, you know, it's a big rectangle. You can stash it on the side of your TV stand or something like that, or maybe behind your couch. And if you choose to lay it on its side, you might be able to stash it underneath the couch if you got enough room up underneath there. So you could possibly hide this thing if you wanted to. That just depends on your furniture. But when we move over to the SW5, this thing it's kind of massive. It's like 1.5 times bigger than the SW3, and width, it's about the same height, just a little bit taller, but the width is where you get it, man. And the depth is about the same. It's just that width. And the weight, it's definitely heavier. You can look at the specs on Sony's website all you want to. Not gonna go into that, but this is a larger speaker. So be prepared for that, because you're not gonna be able to tuck this thing under a couch, nor would I suggest you do that, because it does have these open areas on the bottom where you need it to sit up just like this. That way you can have that down firing passive radiator. But as far as size goes, man, you just slide this bad boy on the side of your TV cabinet or up against the wall in a corner, or in my case, I just stuffed it right behind my couch and let it do its thing. Now with either one of these, you're gonna have a very easy time pairing it up to your Sony HT series soundbar. I have the HT-5000, and you just run the setup wizard and it connects. All you gotta do is press the button on the back of it and it's just gonna find it. They're gonna marry up and they're gonna deliver some exceptional sound. And when I say exceptional sound, I'm talking about deep, rich bass with absolutely no distortion. Now on my home theater, I'm usually hanging around like max like 30, 30, 32. Sometimes I'll get up to like 35 or 38, but that's a little bit too much for me, man. Now I did talk to a Sony rep, man, and he told me that, and this is where I kind of get into sound. He told me that people usually say the difference between the two is basically you got just right, which is the SW3, and then with the SW5, too much bass. And they say it's either too big or too bassy. And I'm like, dude,
stop being a and come on.
You have the option to turn it down. You get like from 1 to 12, which is max on your sound bar of subwoofer volume. Turn it down, bro. It ain't gotta be up all the way. So that's where I get into the difference of the sound. I usually hang out in the, let's say 8, okay? I usually turn mine up to about 8. Sometimes I'll play in the 10 area. But on level 8 is where I can like notice a big difference between the two. So on level 8 with the SW3, I'm getting some solid sound, especially with movies like 6 Underground or Transformers, Rise of the Fallen. I'm getting some really solid bass, right? And then with the SW5, it just seems like I'm getting more volume on my bass, more, I wanna say ominous, but ominous means like you can feel that bad things are coming. And maybe that is the word I need to use because I'm feeling it. You know what I mean? I feel when the bad stuff is about to happen because that rumble comes. But the word I think I should be using is omnipresent. And I think that's solely due to the way this thing is designed and of course its power output. You got your front firing sub, right? And then you got that down firing passive radiator and the way this just comes out on the bottom here. And it just delivers this really nice sound, man. Now, at level 12, which is max, right? I actually get more punch, like more thump out of the SW3, like that punch, you know what I mean? And it could be the more high frequency bass. But with the SW5, it's not as punchy at max, but you do feel the boom. It just delivers more boom, like low frequency bass. And me personally, that's what I like. But like I said, I don't run them both at max. I usually keep them around 8, maybe 9. And like I said, I just feel like at that level, the SW5 performs a little bit better, being that the bass surrounds you. Now with a lot of systems, especially with the subwoofer part of the system, you can actually kind of pinpoint where the subwoofer is. Like, I don't know, maybe my ears are just different from yours. I can always tell where the subwoofer is, and that is there's no difference with the SW3. I can always I just know it's at the back of the couch or in the corner of the room or in the front of the room. I just know because I can hear it coming from that direction. With the SW5, omnipresence, man. It's just everywhere. I cannot pinpoint. Matter of fact, I had Wilson come over to my house, man. I asked Wilson if he could figure out where the subwoofer was because I had the SW5 set up. He said, no, he really could not figure out where it was. And I told him it was sitting right behind him. He said, man, I wanted to say it was underneath the couch because I could feel it rumbling, but and he also felt it like on the floor, but he didn't want to say that because he couldn't really pinpoint it. You know what I'm saying? So it just gives this, once again, omnipresent bass, which is something I really can appreciate. Now for the price tag, the upgrade in price that you're gonna pay, I don't know if that's gonna be something that's worth it to you to have that level of omnipresent bass. But the SW3 is absolutely no slouch, man. It is a top performer in my book. I upgraded some people would say upgrade. I would definitely say upgrade. I upgraded to the HT-5000 from an LG, I think it's SL9Y or something like that. And the whole system sounds phenomenally better. And I'm definitely getting better subwoofer performance with the SW3 versus what I had with LG. But I gotta tell you, my personal opinion, I'm okay with spending an extra, the extra coins on the SW5 because I've heard both, right? And I was asking my wife, like, which one should I keep? Because this sounds great. The SW3 sounds fantastic. And I'm like, this is great. It works, you know what I'm saying? But knowing what's out there, I think it would actually bother me knowing that if I just spent a little bit more money, I could have had more like when I want it. And I'm one of those guys that feels like it's better to have it and not need it right now than to need it and not have it. So that's why I'm personally opting for the SW5, even though it does cost a few of those Mario coins. Look, I'm not an expert in this kind of stuff, but what I do know is one of these brings the bass and one of these brings the thunder. And that is the SW5. I don't want to influence you to go buy one or the other. I'm just telling you what I like. Either way, y'all got to get out of here because I need to go back home and reconnect this thing to my HT-A5000 so I can rewatch Gran Turismo. Bruh, have you seen that movie yet? Man, it is so good. I've already seen it and it's just action-packed. The race scenes are incredible, but there's this crash. Oh my God. It made my butt pucker and I might have peed a little, just a little bit. Man, I cannot wait to watch this thing on my new system because I haven't seen it on my new system yet and I'm so excited. So y'all keep being good to each other and I'll see you when I see you.